Hello and welcome to Dawn News English. With 20 minutes, I'm Nadia Naqi with you. The western borders seem to be really hot, though Pakistan had thought, or it was a general feeling, that after the western forces leave Afghanistan and the new regime in Afghanistan will be more friendly towards Pakistan, or at least there will be less clashes across the border, because that is what Pakistan had been asking. This is what the guarantee they needed, that Afghan soil is not going to be utilized by any terrorists for any cross-border terrorism or attacks. However, in the past 3 months, we've seen not only our borders have been the flashpoint, especially the Chaman side, but also we're seeing there are a lot of happenings within Afghanistan. The attack on our envoy in Kabul, then the hotel attack, which is very recently on the Chinese, and earlier there was an attack on the Russians. All of this and what needs to be done. Why are the western borders so hot? What is the Afghan policy, and how do we need to actually make this border calmer is what we're going to be discussing today on 20 Minutes with former Ambassador Ayaz Wazir Saab. Thank you so much for joining us on Dawn News English. Ayaz Saab, why do you think that the Chaman side has become a flashpoint, the area which is primarily used for movement from one side to the other, as well as a lot of trade happens between Pakistan and Afghanistan?
We have so many places where from we conduct trade or transit trade with Afghanistan, but out of all these 6-7, Chaman and Torkham are the most important because these are there for, I don't know, as they say, donkey years since creation of Pakistan. Even before that, they were there. So right. Obviously the main focus is on that, and these two places are closer to Quetta, a bigger city, and Peshawar, another bigger city in the KP. So this is one of our main transit route to Afghanistan. For the people crossing the border towards Pakistan or Afghanistan, or for trade coming from either side. But at the same time, there have always been near Chaman problems between us and any government that has come in Afghanistan on the border issue. That is our main problem. The border issue resurfaces off and on, very often I would say, or rather if I may put it this way, that our relationship with Afghanistan is heavily influenced by the handling of the border, or by the border issue that we have between us. And that we inherited right from day one, right from the creation of Pakistan. We have this problem. I'll not go into detail. I'll simply say that in the beginning of our relation, after 1947, two big mistakes were committed by both the countries, by Pakistan and Afghanistan both. The first stone was cast by the Afghans in 1947. The second one was cast by Pakistan in 1949. So these two, without going into detail, if somebody is interested, I'll explain, but right now it's enough. Until and unless the two governments, whichever government comes into the two countries, until the two mistakes are regretted officially, right, and just left behind us, the two will not leave us. They will keep on influencing our relationship, which has all along. Look at the border issue, always at Torkham or Angurada or Chaman or Ghulam Khan. You name a transit place or the border with Afghanistan, you have a problem.
But there are reports, Ambassador Saab, that the Taliban do not, of course, accept the fencing of the border and the Durand line. They don't accept that, and at the same time they are getting this dismantled at various places. And this is what is the cause of concern. When Pakistani side tried to rebuild those areas, that's when all the crossfire took place. And this is where we lost our civilians also. So, how come that Pakistan, which thought that, now having the Taliban regime in Afghanistan, it's going to be more friendly relations as compared to the previous government. Why is it so difficult to explain it to them? Why is it so difficult for them to understand that what Pakistan wants, and how we can, take this relation together in a friendlier manner?
Well, the Durand Line has always been a problem for the Afghans to come in public and accept it. This has always been going on, whichever government has come in Kabul, be that Najib, be that Mujahideen, or be that Burhanuddin Rabbani, or the Taliban first period, or Hamid Karzai, or Ashraf Ghani, or even now the Taliban. Not a single government in Afghanistan has been able to announce it publicly. They have reservation, but that is another subject. I think if you go into it, we will leave the other thing. That is a bone of contention for them. But the good thing is, as far I understand, that the Afghans do recognize the Durand Line or the border between us. But since the mistake that we committed in 1949, the second mistake, as I said, the first one was done by the Afghans. Thereafter, let me now explain quickly the two mistakes. The first one was the Afghan negative vote against Pakistan when Pakistan became a member of the UN body. Yeah. But that negativity stayed for 20 days only. After 20 days, the Afghan fellow or the representative there was instructed by the government that what have you done? Take it back and give a positive vote to Pakistan. So after 20 days, a positive vote was given to Pakistan, and that's it. But we are stuck only with the negative. We have hardly said the positive vote that was given to Pakistan. But I would say the fault lies with the Afghans. They should not have cast to begin with the negative one, because Pakistan had already come into existence, and the question of self-determination of the people of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which was called then NWFP, that was already resolved through a referendum, and majority of the people decided to stay with Pakistan. They raised a question which they should not have raised. So that was the first one. The second one, we made a mistake. In June 1949, our plane went and bombed a village across the border in Afghanistan, on which the Afghan government at that time called a Loya Jirga, and the Loya Jirga decided to consider the Durand Line agreement and all related agreements as dead, because they say, it is their claim, that since Pakistan violated the Durand Line first, using the state power, now we had already our reservation, we do not accept it. So the reservation on the Durand Line started from that day onward, and nobody, because this is a decision of the Loya Jirga, no government can decide. But just give me a minute to clear it and to come to the conclusion of it. That's why I said that since these two mistakes were committed a long way back, 47 and 49, 1947 and 1949, but they are still influencing our relation. So it would be better, it is the right time. In Afghanistan, the Taliban, after 40 years, have come into power, having control all over the country. They are in a position to take decisions on behalf of the Afghan state. Similarly, we have learned a lot of lessons from Afghanistan. I hope so. That the Soviet couldn't control it through power, the American couldn't control it through power. So we cannot achieve whatever objective if we have through power, but through negotiation we can. Now, to bury those two mistakes, the best would be the two governments should accept those mistakes, regret it, and bury it behind. Then we can move.
Well, I would like to add over here, my comment on this is that, okay, fine, if we're stuck in history, you say, but there's a lot of more history to it. Like how Pakistan has always been helping out Afghanistan, especially after the Western forces have evacuated. Pakistan has been wanting peace in Afghanistan, trying to help them as much as we can, raising voices for Afghanistan across the globe. Now, moving towards TTP, one of the concerns that Pakistan has, and is a lot of discussion within the national security paradigm also, that we expected that TTP is going to be controlled, as in no more at least cross-border attacks. Then there was these, talks with TTP. I don't know whether they were formal talks or informal, but there's a lot of talks in the public domain that we've discussed earlier as well. So why is it that the Afghans just, say these are your people, deal with them? They have a lot of influence on TTP. TTP has worked with TTA for them. Why not make them sit down and explain it to them what Pakistan needs right now? We've really faced a lot of terrorism.
Well, I'll come to the TTP just after half a minute. I'll take on the first part that you said, is that we have done so much for the Afghans. Well, what we consider is that the Afghans are ungrateful. We have done so much for them. We made them almost made them capable of defeating the two superpowers in Afghanistan. The Afghani argument that I have heard is that, well, that may be true, but that in a way was your war also along with us. But anyway, their argument is that, fine, thank you, you have looked after our refugees for so long in Pakistan and helped us a lot. But now we have gained that. Let us handle our situation ourselves. Don't they consider we interfere in their internal affairs? They say, leave us to the problems, to everything. We are capable of handling it. Don't fight our case. Don't plead our case. If we need your assistance, we will ask you. But don't take us for granted that we will be listening to you 24 hours.
Are we trying to do that? Are we trying to do that?
No, well, this is what they accuse us, that we are interfering in their internal affair. And they quote that famous green cup of tea in Serena Hotel, which is known all over the world.
Yeah.
That has created a big void between Taliban and us. That is what we should avoid. We should not say, leave Afghans to themselves, consider Afghanistan as an independent and sovereign country, handle them accordingly. They would love to come forward and respect you more than...
well, that cup of tea also invited a lot of criticism on Pakistan itself.
Well, this what I said, that green cup of tea, I think, dented our relation more than repairing or cementing it. But anyway, that is past, that is gone. Now come to TTP.
Yeah.
TTP, no doubt, is sitting in Afghanistan. They have a safe haven over there. But TTP and all other militants are there in Afghanistan for so many years. If you remember, Trump said in one of his speeches when he was the president that there are so many, I think he mentioned 20 or more militant groups in Afghanistan. When the Taliban took over, or before that, they agreed with the American in Doha under that agreement that our soil will not be allowed to be used by any militant against United States or any other country. So that they have undertaken. But here the problem is that all the militants are there. And what I heard from a very authentic source, that soon after taking over Kabul, they offered to Pakistan, to China, and to other neighboring countries who had concerns about militants sitting in Afghanistan to engage with them and resolve their differences with those groups. China refused and the other countries refused, Iran and Tajikistan and others, but we accepted. We, out of our own free will, agreed with the Taliban that, we will talk to TTP. But the time and the procedure followed. With that, I have my reservation. This was not the right time. The right time was when the Taliban had not yet taken over Afghanistan. The Afghan Taliban themselves were running around when the Americans were present there to find some American to talk to them. They wanted to talk to the American, but the American refused to talk to them. So the Taliban are forced not to kick them out. We are in a way forced because they are attacking us daily. When just an hour before, I received a message that a bomb blast had taken place in Miran Shah, killing, I think, 1 or 2 people and wounding a couple of them. So we are getting daily attacks from them. The ceasefire is over. But another mistake that we made when we agreed for the 3 months ceasefire with TTP. So I'm not against negotiation, but the way it was done was wrong and the time was wrong.
So now how do we move forward then with them? When their presence is now across the province, we need to do something. We can't have these blasts happening. Neither can we succumb to all their demands. Because, you know, the kind of demands that they've been making probably is not possible. Like the reversal of, FATA is not possible. At the same time, there are a lot of other things that they've been asking for, which probably cannot be met. So how do we move forward with TTP?
The merger of FATA was done in a haste without taking the people of FATA into confidence. We consulted all Pakistanis through their parliamentarians in the National Assembly, in the Senate, and in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Provincial Assembly. But if we have not consulted anyone, that was the people of FATA, former FATA, neither directly through referendum nor through their parliamentarian in the parliament, except for 2 gentlemen who were present in that bill. Rest there was no one. I am personally in favor of making FATA a province, but that is gone. I have written about merger and not merger. Both, I said, are workable, provided you adopt a proper procedure.
So we've made our mistakes. That's fine, because we have little time and we can go in those details.
Okay.
But Ambassador sir, what needs to be done now?
Let me just take a little time, not more. Okay, we have done it, but we can devise a system where we can compensate the people who suffered the most. Okay. If this war on terror has really taken, if any people has taken the brunt, that was the people of the tribal area. Their personal property, their business, everything got destroyed, and they were not compensated for it. Nobody in FATA is against Pakistan. Everybody loves Pakistan, wants to work for Pakistan. But Pakistan, unfortunately, or let me put it this way, the people other than KP are not supporting the people of FATA or KP as much as they in reverse support the rest of the people in Pakistan. So pay a little attention to us.
Well, you're absolutely right on that. But then the second question is going to be, is it going to be safe now? Going to FATA, when you yourself are saying that, you know, in the border area and even across the province, there is presence of TTP.
Well, I have no doubt that the state is very strong. So the state, the politician, the establishment should work together, should join hands and look after FATA. If they are not, if they do not know, I said, I am willing to go to any distance, to any person, give them my suggestion, accept it, do it, not accept it, I'll come home. But I can't discuss everything in black and white on television.
Of course, I can understand. Last 2 minutes we have, Ambassador Saab. We would like to know one thing. When you said that Afghanistan is not in a position right now to pick up any fights with any of the groups, because, you know, they're fairly a new, it's a fairly new takeover. But then when you make those claims that, yes, your soil is not going to be used by any other groups, that very thing is being negated, because you've seen the attacks that I was speaking about earlier on the Russians, on the Chinese, on our envoy. So all of this needs to be controlled. Otherwise, how is the world going to accept Afghanistan with all of this?
I think that the American knew, even when going into this agreement, that the soil will be used, because there were so many groups sitting in Afghanistan. If the US, along with NATO, couldn't throw them out or couldn't control them, then how come they agreed to the Taliban statement that, yes, we will not permit anyone to use our soil? Where is that power with the Taliban to do that? And on top of that, which country in the world have recognized them to deal with them as a normal government for that country. But the Taliban, I wish for my own government that other countries are far away from Afghanistan. We are its immediate neighbor.
Absolutely.
No country in the world has so much deep interest or gets so much positive or negative influence from Afghanistan than Pakistan. So we should look at Afghanistan from our own interest. Is it in our interest to recognize? Okay, go tomorrow and recognize it. If not, yes, don't recognize it, but don't go by the saying of people who are sitting far away, not directly getting burned from the situation in Afghanistan.
So which makes me feel that what we're doing is actually under some influence and not taking our own decisions.
Well, unfortunately, it looks like, because we are either scared of reaction of somebody to put sanction on us or some other way. But anyway, if another country, let's say if American have reservation, I will ask my American counterpart that you come and sit in Pakistan, then I'll accept it. But if you are sitting in Washington, expecting me to be always dagger drawn with the Taliban, with the TTP, that I cannot afford for my people. I need peace for my people.
Well, thank you so much, Ambassador Ayaz Wazir. I'm not going to contest what you're saying because, of course, you belong to FATA. However, I do have some kind of disagreement when it comes to talks about, talks with TTP, as well as how Afghanistan still needs to control whatever is happening in their country, whether they are new or whether they are old. Their soil is being used by terrorist groups. Their soil is being used for cross-border attacks, which they need to control. Having said that, I'll leave it here. We're going to have a detailed discussion soon with you as we progress with all of this, what is happening, and we can only hope that, all these attacks, all the flashpoints at the border that we share with Afghanistan needs to be calmer, because this is at least what we expect, that the Western side should not be as hot as it appears to be. That's all for now. You take care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.